This topic is multi-step word problems involving fractions and multiplication. Anytime you are doing a multiple step or multiple part problem, I recommend that you really do a good job labeling every single part of the problem so that as you go from one part to another, you know exactly where you are in the problem. So first of all, it says there's 80 students in a speech contest. Yesterday, 1/4 of them gave their speeches. Today, 2/5 of the remaining students gave their speeches. How many students still haven't given their speeches? I'm going to put a starting amount, and my starting amount is 80 students. Then I also know that yesterday, 1/4 of those 80 students gave their speeches. So that means 80 divided by 4, 1/4 of 80. I can do that in my head. That's 20 students. Before I go to today, I'm going to figure out how many students are left. So after each problem or each part, let's find out the remaining. So the remaining would be 80 minus the 20 that gave their speeches, so there's 60 remaining. Then today it says 2/5 of the remaining, so 2/5 of those 60 students gave their speeches. And to solve that, we can do a couple of things. We can find out 1/5 of 60 and then multiply that by 2, or we could just do 2/5 times 60 over 1. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. In this case, we've got 120 over 5. 120 divided by 5 is going to be 24. So today was 24 students. But now the question says, how many students still haven't given their speeches? So basically, we just want to know the remaining after today. So the remaining after today would be the ones that we started with today, minus the ones who gave their speeches today, and that would be 36 students. So just looking at how I did this problem, you can see how I labeled everything. So it's basically just, it's a multi-step problem, but it's split into individual parts that I can go back quickly and look at because I'm going to need one part's information to do the next part. Okay, this problem says a bookstore had 42 copies of a magazine. Yesterday it sold 1/3 of them. Today it sold 5/7 of what remained. How many copies does it still have left? So starting with 42 copies. Not today, this is going to be yesterday. Yesterday, it sold 1/3 of the 42 books. If you don't know 42 divided by 3, you can work that out, but I do know that that is 14. So after the first day, after yesterday, it had 42 minus 14, which is 28 copies of this magazine remaining. And then today, it sold 5/7 of the remaining one of what remained, so of 28. And for this one, I think I'm going to do a different strategy because I can do 28 divided by 7. That's 1/7 of 28. I can find that in my head. 1/7 of 28 is 4, but I don't want 1/7. I want 5/7. So I just want 5 times 4, which is 20. So after today, we have the remaining ones from the day before, which was 28, but then we sold 20 of those today, so we have 8 copies remaining. Here's one more example. It says there are 72 new houses being built in a neighborhood. Last month, 1/3 of them were sold. This month, 1/8 of the remaining houses were sold. How many houses are still left to be sold? So at the start, we had 72. Then last month, we sold 1/3 of those, of the 72. 72 divided by 3 is 24, because there's 72 hours in 3 days. And then if we do the remaining, we started with 72, we sold 24 of them, we're left with 48 of them. This month, we sold 1/8 of the remaining, 1/8 of the 48. I can do that very quickly because 1/8 of 48 is 48 divided by 8, which is 6. So if we sold 6 houses this month, and we started the month with 48 houses, so we sold 6, we're left with 42 houses to sell.